Well, creation is the story of creation, our Sky Woman story. It reminds us that we come from somewhere. Right? It reminds our young people that we come from this earth. And it also is the foundation for the philosophical underpinnings of our society as Haudenosaunee people, the great law of peace, the Gaianuregoa. It's the starting point for us to understand what a social, political, and spiritual way of life is all about. And so if you were to go there, those are the two foundational stories of our people, is the Sky Woman story and the founding of the Confederacy, called the Peacemaker's Journey. And so the Sky Woman story sets the foundation for understanding what you need to know in order to survive in the world. Because you look at what Sky Woman did, but the foundation of that, the very fundamental things about that, is that you live in respect. You live with respect. You communicate respect by your actions and what you say and what you do. Respect and it's not only respect between human beings, it's respect between humans and the natural world. It also describes the emotions and the underpinnings of our ceremonial life, where we know what we have to say and what we have to do when someone dies, to keep the mind in balance and to keep people strong. It also describes how things are created in the earth that are in complementarity. So you have the two twins of the story, Zawiskara and Daharanyawagu, who in a lot of the versions they describe them as the good twin and the bad twin, or the evil twin and the good twin, and that's wrong. Because there's no such thing as good and evil, but there is balance and harmony between two things, and it's a lot of work to maintain balance between two things. So that's what that describes, that relationship, which is often fraught with its difficulties, but it's a constant, it's finding the balance between the two of them. So one is creating the rivers to flow, everything flows in one direction to make it easy for the people to be traveling to get to where they need to go. Or no, they create it so that the rivers flow in two directions. And so the other twin, the bad twin, what they call him, Zawiskara, Flint Ice is what he's called, he creates it so that they're all flowing in one direction to make it harder, make it more difficult. But that's the nature of life. So what it's representing is that things have to be looked at in balance. So that's another thing that it's teaching us. It has all of these foundational elements of who we are and how we are to live in this world and with this world in relationship with the natural world. And in knowing those things, it helps you to live with respect. Respect of your fellow human beings, but also with respect in the natural world. And it relates very closely to that idea of the 7 generations philosophy, right? Which is about accountability. So as we live, we think about, well, what is it that I'm saying I'm doing that is going to impact 7 generations into the future? So as I'm sitting here talking, I'm thinking about the impact that my words, what that impact is going to have 7 generations from now. So I'm very mindful of what I say, because I'm accountable to those coming faces, to those children yet unborn. And that's another thing that story reminds us is that we have to be mindful of what we are saying and what we are doing, because there are many generations that are coming that are going to have needed us to be that way and to think that way and to live our lives that way. So it teaches us all of these fundamental things, and then it's built upon by the peacemaker and the peacemaker's journey story to create a system of living and governance and clan system that structures our world so that we can live together in peace and harmony.
So if you were to compare that lived reality of creation to something like the Bible story in Genesis, do you see any linkages, any fundamental differences?
I see. What's interesting is some of these other versions of the Sky Woman story are written from, to me, what it looks like a very male-centered perspective. The version that I've written from the first person is really female-centric. It's from a woman's perspective, and I've tried in my writing to infuse back in those female elements, because what you need them to have balance, right? And I call that rematriation of that story and decolonizing that story. So when I think about the Bible, I think I have to be respectful of those who adhere to that way of thinking. But if I really were to say anything at all, it would be that it's from a very, any of the versions that I've seen are from a male-centric perspective as well. But I can't really make a good comparison, because there are elements of that story that are fantastical, right? Beings that talk and things happen that the rational mind says that's impossible. So part of, I think, the process when we tell these stories is that we have to suspend our disbelief. And that also places us in ceremony.